After incredible rookie season for Chris Olave, could we see an even bigger year two for the Ohio State product? I think the answer is a resounding yes, and I'll tell you why right here on the Straight Up Saints podcast.
You're listening to the Straight Up Saints podcast.
What's up, Who Dat Nation? It's Chris Vogel back with another video here for the Straight Up Saints podcast. And as I mentioned before, Chris Olave entering year two already had a phenomenal rookie season, right? We're talking about a player who had 72 catches for over 1,000 yards and 4 touchdowns. And what makes that stat line even better in my eyes is the fact that he did not have consistent or elite quarterback play throughout the season. And you know, you start off week one with Jameis Winston, obviously some incredible moments in that fourth quarter in the comeback against the Falcons, but a broken back in that game. On top of him already having a foot injury. Week two doesn't go great for the team. Week three, obviously not ideal. And all of a sudden, you get into Andy Dalton territory. And Andy Dalton territory leads to some good moments, some really bad moments where you score no points against the 49ers, where you score, 3 points or 13 points, I believe, in a couple of other games. Flat against the Panthers in the season finale. Just moments that just did not look great. Not pleasing, not appetizing football. And the one saving grace for the Saints throughout this season from the offensive side of the football felt like Chris Olave, because it wasn't like you were just watching a guy putting up good numbers. You felt like you're watching a player progress, learn from his mistakes, continue to make some of the same, and then okay, those are the things he has to correct in the offseason, but also flash brilliance where you go, man, this kid's going to be special. Like, I remember watching week 4 against the Vikings when they were in London, and remember they're marching down the field, late situation. They got to get a field goal to tie it. And Chris Olave makes a ridiculous leaping grab around midfield. And it kind of felt like in that moment where watching Chris Olave, I was like, Saints got their dude, right? And obviously you would want Michael Thomas back. And thankfully the Saints worked something out where he will be back. But you felt like in that moment, at least I could speak for myself here, I was like, the Saints have their guy. And maybe it won't be year one, but by year two, I think you will be watching him every week and going, yeah, that's a top 15 receiver. That's a top 12 receiver. And hopefully the number keeps to go down as his career moves forward. And I think it can. And I think for Chris Olave, you're seeing one thing at OTAs, again, one practice session, but it is something you want to see, something you want to hear. And it's the fact that the biggest play of the game, or practice, I should say, offensively speaking, him making a contested catch with Marcus May in coverage, leaping grab, tight coverage. That's what I want to see. Because I think the one knock I had on Chris Olave, and it wasn't, me being too harsh on him. I think it's like one of those guys where he's already good. If he gets this fixed, then he becomes great. It's making the contested grabs. It's making the catches in traffic. And no, one OTA practice is not going to say, okay, those concerns have been eradicated. They've been fixed. And now he's ready to be Chris Olave, the unstoppable wide receiver who's going to have 1,500 receiving yards. Like, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but that's what you want him to fix. And if we start to have more days like today and they start to rack up and you start to hear more and more about another tight coverage catch, another catch in traffic for Olave, then you start to talk about what is the ceiling for him. Because I know what the floor is. The floor is an 1,000-yard wide receiver, because in a year as a rookie with Jameis Winston, who was hurt, and then Andy Dalton, he had over 1,000 yards receiving. And he missed a game. So I think for him, there's a lot to love about this kid. And I think this is just the start of it. And another thing that I loved about him, and I think this is what also makes me even more on the Chris Olave hype train, I should say, not bandwagon, because bandwagon, I mean, I have to hop on. I was on the train from the moment they drafted the kid. Derek Carr's quote about him is what I love. He says he loves to work, keeps his head down until it's time to show up. And that's what he does. And I think for Chris Olave, he's going to fit very well from a schematic standpoint and just a skill set fit with Derek Carr. Derek Carr wants to throw the ball deep. Chris Olave can get down the field. And you talk about with Derek Carr, Carr mentioned about Olave. He said he could fly down the field. He said he's explosive. You're seeing that. And he said there's already been communications and conversations where they're saying, okay, how do we get on the same page here? Do you want me to do this? Do you want me to do that? And again, it's only May. Season starts in September. The Saints are going to have 3.5 months to iron out all those specifics and nuances for Olave and Carr to be on the same page. And if that happens, and once it does happen, because I believe it will, you start to unlock certain aspects of Olave's game. And I think for this kid, it isn't the May optimism. It isn't the OTA hype train and Kool-Aid that we all like to drink. It's me just using my brain that this kid, as a rookie in a bad offense with subpar quarterback play, had over 1,000 yards and was their best player. And now we'll have an upgraded quarterback, a second year in the system, should have more talent around him. Michael Thomas being back, Shaheed getting better, bringing in Brian Edwards, bringing in A.T. Perry, bringing in Foster Moreau. That should make life easier for him. And those, coupled with the fact that this kid is a hard worker and wants to reach that next level of his game, I don't know how you see Chris Olave and don't think that's going to be a top 15 receiver by the end of the year. And if I'm wrong, I'll eat my words. I just really feel like we're primed for this. I do. I really, really do. And let's also not forget, you're looking around the NFC, specifically the NFC South. I sit here today, and I'll give Mike Evans and Chris Godwin their flowers and respect off of resumes and the fact that they can still ball, obviously. But you could finish this year and be like, all right, Olave's the best receiver in the NFC South. And I don't think that would be a stretch at all. I really don't. In fact, I would be surprised if he's not by the time the season ends, because I do think that he will take that year 2 leap because of the work ethic, because of the quarterback upgrade, because of the fact that he has another year in the system to get better, put on a little bit more strength. I think that's all going to lead to big things for Chris Olave. But I want to hear what you guys have to think about number 12. Do you guys think Olave is going to take that next step, take that year 2 leap? If so, let me know. And if not, which actually is what I'd be more intrigued by, I'd also love to know your reasoning there. And as always, guys, make sure to subscribe to Boot Crew Media's YouTube page and stay tuned for more content here from the Straight Up Saints podcast, the destination for